Alright, what is up everybody? Welcome back to today's trade recap. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. Today I did not take any trades, but I was watching and I feel like there was some opportunity in the market again. This happens pretty frequently at this point where I feel like I should have taken a trade, but I end up fading it just because one certain thing. And this is something that I'm trying to get over right now in my trading career. So coming into today, this is a screenshot of my journal. This is the daily time frame before market actually opened. As you could tell, we dumped significantly in pre-market in London and Asia. So my notes was we already had a 300-point move today. I'd be asking for another 150 to reach my drawn liquidity, which was this body low here on the daily candle. And I wasn't sure what to expect today. I was potentially expecting some consolidation today because we already made such a big pre-market move. But if we look at the hourly, this is where I feel like I get the most benefit from journaling. So this was the hourly pre-market before it actually happened. I have my standard deviations here. I marked out OTE, and I really liked how OTE lined up very nicely with my original draw, which was this low right here of the new day opening gap that we have yet to fill. So it was 0.62 for the OTE. I thought this was a really good draw. We also had last week's new week opening gap here next to the 2.5 standard deviation. So overall, coming into today, I was just very bearish. It also looks like a market maker sell model, and as you could tell, I was pretty accurate with my prediction. We ended up holding this 1 hour for value gap, respecting CE of it very nicely, and distributed lower to my original draw. So first things first, we had a few opportunities today. Dodgy said that this 1 minute long here, this basically patty swing, or as I'm calling it, was a pattern trade. I saw it. I think we did also have a bullish SMT here as well. So I saw this trade, immediately faded it just because I wasn't bullish. I wanted to be more bearish, and I wanted to see us hold this 1 hour for value gap, resweep us an intermediate term high, may that be like the 30-minute intermediate term high, and get some displacement lower. And we opened, manipulated higher. We took out this high. We still had a bunch of highs up here, so I wasn't too worried about this manipulation. But then we slammed everybody down lower, but we kept this original low down here, leading up to the 4 hour for value gap and my original high time frame draw on liquidity. Now moving into what I was seeing in the day. So I first at price, when price was pumping up, I was thinking, man, maybe my bias is just completely wrong, and maybe we're just going to inverse this 1 hour for value gap. Thankfully we didn't, and my bias actually held true to what it was. We ended up holding this 1 hour for value gap, and we get this first 5-minute play of the day. This was a 5-minute inversion for value gap right here. Entry at 9:55 in the morning. I personally faded this for a few reasons. I faded this mainly because the close here on this 5-minute inversion fair value gap just wasn't the best in my opinion. If you ever have to zoom in on an inversion fair value gap, I just don't think it's a good enough trade to take, especially if it's a 5-minute fair value gap, because 5-minute fair value gaps historically, for me, at least what my data has proven, at least what my data has proven is that 5-minute fair value gaps, I don't have the best success rate. So in order for me to take a 5-minute inversion fair value gap, it has to be damn near perfect. And I was going to take this 5-minute fair value gap if we got a close probably like right here where this wick ended up staying. So if we got a close there, I would have taken this all day long, and I would have put my stop at the wick high here. As you can tell, if you did enter this trade, it still played out because the draw on liquidity was bearish. So I was on sides today. And another way that you can confirm this is what do you have pros and what do you have cons for your trades? Pros, we have a 9:30 obvious wick here that failed to take out any sort of liquidity down here. We also failed to take out this 4 hour for value gap at pre-market. We actually edged it, and my high time frame draw on liquidity is down there as well. What do we have up here? Well, we have some stack liquidity up here, but we have London high. We have a few fair value gap. We have a 1 hour fair value gap up here. But how many points away is this? This at market open was over 200 points. So the chances of us going there, I thought, were pretty low, especially after we already distributed significantly in pre-market. So I thought that this was a really good idea. I just wanted a perfect close and I never got it, so I ended up sitting this one out. And I thought that fading it was the right idea because, as you can tell, 5, 10, 15 minutes into it, the trade started going against you significantly. And then later on, of course, it hits a full TP. Now, you could go about this a few different ways. You can hold for a 1-to-1, which is probably realistically what I would have ended up doing. Or you could have held to the 930 open low, which I think also is a really strong draw on liquidity and damn near the equivalent to data lows or data highs. So I'm definitely going to keep that in the back of my head moving forward. And of course, the original draw, the 4-hour got hit. My draw on liquidity down here never got hit. It was the new day opening gap low, I believe, or maybe the high. So I'm surprised that that didn't get hit, but I'm sure we're just saving it for the PM session as well. So that was the first trade that I faded, and it played out. So in hindsight, marking that down, journaled it. I will be considering taking something, but again, that close, it just wasn't for me. And also, another reason why I didn't take that trade was the entry was at 9:55 in the morning. So there was 5 minutes before 10 a.m. I was a little nervous that I could have gotten reswept or remanipulated, and then the real move would have happened. So that's also another reason why I ended up fading this 5-minute trade. However, I think that I still got to take. No, I don't think I got to take this. I'm pretty happy that I faded it. Yes, it won, but I don't think that I'm going to be able to condition myself mentally to take these trades with those bad closes. This rejection wick here on the 5-minute also would have been really nerve-wracking for me. So in hindsight, I think it's a fine fade, and it just wasn't perfect for me. And that's it. Yeah, let's move on to the next trade. Okay, so this is the next trade. This is a 1-minute continuation off this 5-minute fair value gap, which is a sponsored fair value gap from the 1 hour. This entry would have been at 10:50 in the morning, targeting this 4-hour unfilled fair value gap. I thought that this was a really good trade, and it was towards the end of session macro. I was very interested in taking this trade. However, the reason why I faded this one as well was because the time to close. I believe this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 candles on the 1-minute chart in order for us to actually get the inversion. Now, in hindsight, I do know why it took 8 candles, so I think I 100% should have taken this trade, but I wasn't looking at ES as much as I should have been. I was looking at ES, but there was another confluence that I should have realized why we were taking so long to get that time to close, and that was because ES was waiting to tap inside of a 5-minute fair value gap before moving lower. So if we look at the side by side, here's ES, and here's the 1-minute inversion. That's the same one right there. So the entire time, ES made equal highs right here. When I was expecting an inversion right here, ES had equal highs. It did not tap into any sort of liquidity to send price lower. Finally, ES taps into this 5-minute fair value gap. What do you know? A few minutes before the macro, and then what do you know? NQ starts to distribute lower, and this candle right here was the time NQ closed and we actually got the inversion. Look at the displacement here. Look at the invalidation, not true invalidation of the fair value gap because we still technically held it, but I think that's more than enough of a confirmation in order to take this short position on NQ. And ultimately, had I seen this in real time and put 2 and 2 together as to why we were taking such a long time to close, I would have 100% taken this in hindsight. And I know I love to speak in hindsight, but that's just like, this makes so much sense after the fact, and now I can take this, learn from it, and hopefully I won't miss out on these trades in the future. So those were the only 2 things that I saw today that I thought were worth talking about for inversion fair value gaps. Again, I did not take any trades today. I sat on my hands. I took no trades Monday, no trades Tuesday, and we will see what happens Wednesday. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow.